we still haven't realized that this is here to stay.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't realized that, and I think the day we start realizing, you know what, this is here to stay. I cannot afford to be lazy. I need to set up my workstation at home,
Hmm.
get up at 8 a.m. every morning, and this is the new normal.
What's going on, everybody? Asad Hashamali back again with episode number 5 of In the Times. Why In the Times? Because these times are new, unprecedented, and frankly have left all of us completely boggled. Even though it may feel like the entire world has come to a standstill, there is so much to talk about in these times and much more to learn from. In a nutshell, it's Cedar's tiny way to start a small conversation about big things ahead. And this week, we've got a special guest, the Vice Principal of Cedar College, Dr. Mustafa Arif, to talk to you about the med profession, the medical profession, applying to those medical colleges, and also some fun facts about what the world holds for the field overall. Many of you know that in these times we are caught in a pandemic, and in that pandemic, many wise citizens of the world have decided to share their resources and also come up with new and innovative ways to cater to the virus itself, to cater to those who are affected by the virus. Not just for those who are sick, but also those whose lives are being affected on a financial basis, for those who are basically starving and who have no livelihood to their names, especially when everything is shut and on a lockdown. So I think that the reason why I'm starting off with this part of the conversation, why I'm starting the conversation in this way, is basically to remind everyone who's listening is that the virus seems to be getting a little worse over time in Pakistan. The lockdown isn't being catered to as far well as we would like it to. But at the end of the day, Pakistan has its own challenges as well, which I'm not one to comment on, and I would not also like to get into that. But what I can say is that this time has gotten me personally to think about how I can help those around me, how I can help the people who not just work with me, but also those who are in my house, for those who are in my network, for those who I see and who have played a huge role. For all those at Cedar, that could not just be your friends or your teachers, but that could also be people like Bashir Bhai or Aslam Bhai or Tulsi Bhai for that matter. People who played a huge role in our lives and the way we've done things. I guess that what I'm trying to say is let's take a moment to remind ourselves about how we can do good in these times, how we can be there for one another, and how we can make sure that we come out of this faster, stronger, more united, and a lot more grounded as well, I would say. Grounded in the sense that aware of what's going on and aware of our surroundings and aware of all those who are in a less fortunate position than us. And remember and remind ourselves actually, how can we make sure that we work with some more equality and work from our hearts to make sure that everyone is taken care of and to make sure that we as a society prosper as a whole and not just ourselves. And with that little rant over, let's call in our guest for today, Dr. Mustafa Arif. Dr. Mustafa
Okay,
Arif,
Asad.
how are you?
I'm good, Asad. How are you?
Very well. How was Eid for you? Eid Mubarak, by the way.
Eid Mubarak, Asad. Eid was different this year. It was, I
Yeah.
think, the first of our Eid, which was under quarantine. But yeah, it was different. Lots of Zoom calls, lots of WhatsApp calls, FaceTime calls.
Uh huh.
But I think, yeah. And I think we
Yeah.
connected with our distant family much more this year because there was Zoom. So everyone was calling each other just to find out how they were doing.
Really? Like, you guys were zooming each other?
Yeah. It was
Wow.
Zoom, FaceTime, WhatsApp.
I'm happy my family still hasn't picked up on Zoom. So they for them, they also haven't discovered the video chat on WhatsApp. So I'm
Hmm.
keeping them afar from that, you know?
Actually, the deal is with my family. Most of them are in the education profession, so all of them
Okay.
are teaching online. So
Okay. So,
yesterday, they were teaching me. The aunties of my family were teaching me, how is Microsoft Team and how do we do this and how to do
no
that. I
way.
was like, interesting, yeah. So
Teams
yeah,
is pretty good for education though. Like I was going through it, and their OneDrive looks more like an LMS. Like I could see how schools might
I
want to move on to
I
that.
haven't I didn't because I've been using Zoom throughout,
Yeah.
so which is super convenient for me.
Yeah.
But yesterday I heard Teams is doing really well, so I was like, well, I'll check it out.
Oh, great, great. So, for all those listening, we have Dr. Mustafa Arif, the Vice Principal of Cedar College. As always, I like to give some context to the guests. Mustafa and myself go way back. Back when I was in shorts in school, he was wearing full pants. He was my senior at Bayview. Um, and so, by the way, Mustafa, I went over our episode of Listen Up before this, just to go over some old content, and
How many
that's
of them? I said, how many of them?
the most recent. Yeah, I know, why not? But and this similar joke was cracked in that episode as well, where I mentioned that you were
I
my
know.
senior.
I clearly
You
remember.
remember that? Yeah, yeah. Um,
And
so for
I said, not that old,
yeah.
maybe a year or two.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so no, Mustafa's been there at Cedar College for quite a while. He was in the college counseling department, and he's still leading that along with majority of the school with Miss Aisha and Mr. Ali Kazi. And yeah, solid guy. Great advice comes from Mustafa at all times. And yes, as I said, he is a doctor. He's not a PhD doctor. He can actually prescribe medicines. So
So those were
because
some
of
very kind words. Thank you very much.
yeah, I decided to keep this one a little kosher. You know, we
Yeah.
was in some dark times. Let's not say something that's a little too
Yeah.
crass. Yeah, no, but so Mustafa, basically, I wanted to speak to you about
Hmm.
challenges that A-level kids are going through right now in their college apps, and that too, in particular, to those students who are going abroad. How do you feel that the
Okay.
university, what are some challenges now that these students are facing and actually making it to their fall semester?
So, Asad, I'll tell you the biggest problem right now with everyone, including us, is the unpredictability of the situation. There are days where you hear, the vaccine will be out and this will be over. And then there are days where you hear, it's increasing at a very alarming rate worldwide and everything's going to be shut again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of unpredictability. And as adults, when I'm in my 30s, and I'm sure a lot of people in my age group, we are finding it very difficult to adjust to this on a daily basis. So I
Mm-hmm.
can just not even imagine how a student who had his offers 3 months ago is now thinking, what am I doing? They're in a very complex state of mind right now, all these students, and I feel really, really bad for them.
Mm-hmm.
The O level kids, they don't know whether they should start A levels. They don't know whether they have to take a gap year. They don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in a very, very, very complex, very sad state of affairs right now. And as educators, as their mentors, as like guides, it's our responsibility to make sure we're there for them. As
Mm-hmm.
far as universities are concerned, I'll tell you the biggest problem with that is most universities where students go to have well above 10,000 students,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't risk students being on their campus. So
Right.
we heard last week, I believe, I'm sure you must have read this, it was all over Facebook, that Cambridge decided to go online for the whole year.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there will be a lot more universities that will follow, and there will be a lot more places that will actually be online for times to come. I That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Um, with Pakistan, things are a little different, I believe. I know leading universities like IBA, LUMS, Tabib are considering online options. Um, but the world over, I feel there will be a huge shift to online, virtual classrooms, virtual learning, which has its pros and cons. That's another story. But I genuinely feel students starting university in fall will probably, there's a very high probability that they will all be online.
Mm-hmm. So I see the same, right?
Hmm.
And that's a forecast which I've been making myself. I'm somewhat betting on that also in terms of like just
Hmm.
what Backspace does, right? And how that's an opportunity for us. Like if I'm being a little capitalistic right now, forgive me, but like I see that as an opportunity for us to even
Hmm.
step in and add that service and tap into a whole new industry altogether. But as a
Hmm.
university, this is a scenario which I'm playing out for you. Cambridge is going online. Cambridge is a heavily
Hmm.
endowed school. Correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong. Um,
Yes, true.
NYU, for example, is also a heavily endowed school and also takes like $50,000 a year from intuition.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
local Pakistani school, right, like Lums, for example, takes $6,000 a year, right, in tuition.
Hmm.
Do you
Hmm.
think that students and parents are going to be willing to pay that fee and still resort to online education as compared to moving out and going to a mediocre school and paying that same fee, which is obviously a fraction of the cost, and continue
Hmm.
online?
I'll tell you, with universities, it's different. We have very different markets right now. The A level market is a very different market. The university market is a very different market, and the primary or the secondary school market is very different. If
Mm-hmm.
if I place myself as a parent of a primary or a secondary school, give it a year. Probably we're hoping, expecting by the end of the year things will go better and we'll go back to school. So as a parent of a primary secondary school, I'm thinking long term. I'm thinking, you know what? This is not for a year or two. This is for maybe another 6 7 years. So might as well go ahead with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing for university. If a child is enrolling at university right now, she knows for a fact that, you know what, maybe this year will be online, but starting next year, I will probably go and attend to university, and I will come out with a degree from that university.
Mm-hmm.
With A levels, yes, that could be a factor. A levels is just parents could be like, you know what, um, maybe not, maybe not pay because it's though it's only for a year and child will not go to school. So yes, but I'll tell you, Asad, parents don't realize the importance of a schedule, the importance of, because when we are offering online services, when we are telling kids, you know what, attend online classes, there's a whole mechanism that goes on behind it. It's just not, you know what, the teacher will get up and start teaching. It's
Mm-hmm.
there are people who are monitoring the classes, there are people who are monitoring attendances, there are people who are getting in touch with the children, seeing if they're doing okay mentally. You know, corona has had a really really huge impact on their mental health. So you
Mm-hmm.
know, we have people there who are reaching out, who are there for your support. And you know, that's all you need right now. A child who was used to stepping outside and who was used to being outside almost 14 16 hours a day is now staying inside. It has a huge psychological impact.
Mm-hmm.
And school is something that that can be their outlet,
Yeah.
and parents need to realize that now. You know, that is the only thing that will bring some sort of schedule to their lives.
Yeah.
There's so many kids I've heard throughout Ramzan and post Ramzan getting up at 5 p.m., getting up at 6 p.m., staying up all night. That is not healthy, not for the immune system, not for the mental well-being, not for the physical well-being.
Mm-hmm.
And school, you know, if you have a goal, you know what, I have a class at 10 a.m. and there's someone who's looking at me and thinking, you know what, why am I not attending class? A child will make an effort to maybe sleep at, not at 6 a.m., but at least at like 1 a.m., and get up at 9 and be in their class at 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So it's extremely, extremely important for kids to be enrolled in a system where there is some sort of schedule to them, some sort
Yeah.
of structure to their lives. Extremely important.
But again, is it? I'm just being the devil's advocate. But do you think that schedule can still come from an online experience?
Yes, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
Completely, 100%, 100%. As I told you, you know, if, for example, Cedar started classes today, that's
Yeah.
the day we're recording, Monday, and this whole week we'll see who's not attending. By Thursday, they'll start getting calls. You know what? Why aren't you attending your class?
Mm-hmm.
And that way, next week we'll have a better attendance.
Mm-hmm.
So 100%, that is one step to getting a schedule correct for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as if kids can go outside and have like regular coaching classes for cricket or basketball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only thing that can actually give them some sort of a schedule in their lives. So I've been talking to parents recently. A lot of them call me, message me, and a lot of them are really happy with this because they say, you know what, it's given them something to look forward to. the kids and the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we had these core classes during Ramadan, and we had such good reviews about them because the kids were actually learning new things. So yes, I feel at this point in time, it's extremely important for us to normalize online learning
Mm-hmm.
and start pretending, for a bit at least, that this is the way things are and this is the way we can fix ourselves, honestly.
And if you pretend well enough, it might just feel normal. So there's that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, agree,
Yeah. So I want to use this
agree.
as a segue actually into your field of expertise,
Hmm.
med school. What's the
Med
update
school.
like from med schools in Pakistan? Are they
So,
saying business as usual?
well, with med schools, as of now, we don't know. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The best part or the worst part about med schools in Pakistan is that they start really late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The admissions start in October and the intake starts in November, December.
Mm-hmm.
Last year it went all the way until March.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for now, none of the schools have said anything except for maybe AKU, which who said that, you know what, our test is going to be in September. All theory, you could very well do it online.
So AKU's in
But I
September.
feel
AKU's
the
test is in
test is in
September.
September. Set test is in September. But apart from that, the rest haven't really announced anything.
Okay, fair. So
Hmm.
Mustafa, in when kids now go to med schools, also like so, I remember
Hmm.
that back in my day, there were many
Hmm.
students who were set on going to some form of med school, but then
Hmm.
ended up going to university to study something like accounting and finance or business management or something. So like they're on that track, and then
Hmm.
they choose to skip over and go in a different direction altogether. Um,
Hmm.
but then there are also students who decide to go ahead with med school, and they
Hmm.
end up becoming very successful doctors. But what do you feel um, is how do you feel that these students can prepare themselves better for the broader world? Like how do you feel that they can maybe diversify their skill set a little? Now the reason I ask this is because
Hmm.
in today's time, like I don't know if you heard about that COVID tracing app,
Hmm.
um,
Bilkul, bilkul.
right? And then the Sehat Kahani, right? This doctor
Hmm.
online. There's these different,
Hmm.
even medicines. Well, in the West has taken a big shift anyways towards a technology,
Bilkul.
but in
Agree.
Pakistan it's rising. How do you feel that kids
Yes.
can maybe diversify their skill set, their portfolio, their resumes a little bit?
So, Asad, I'll tell you, the when this hit, COVID hit the world altogether, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hit as much in Pakistan as much in the US, maybe worse in the US. So what has started to happen is people have realized that kids sitting at home or even adults sitting at home can do something and start learning.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many things now that students or adults can do from home. For
Mm-hmm.
example, myself, I have started learning a new language at home, and everything now. Most of these online learning portals, they've completely waived off any charges.
Uh-huh.
You can sit online and you can start learning, and you don't have to pay anything. It's just you need a drive. You need to sit and you need to realize, what, maybe 2 years down the line, I will have to do something differently in the career I want, and
Mm-hmm.
might as well I start learning.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many courses now online where kids can learn how to do online consulting. They can learn how to set up, for example, there are people online teaching how to use Zoom to the best of your abilities, right? And how
Yeah.
to properly use all the features for Zoom. So
Mm-hmm.
you can actually, I think another. I was reading a joke today where there was a report card from a kindergarten student,
Mm-hmm.
and the skill learned was the child knows how to mute and unmute themselves when the teacher asks,
No way.
right? So that's just a basic skill. If you it was sent to me as a joke, but if you actually think about it, a kindergarten student of maybe like a 3 or a 4 year old is following instructions when the teacher is telling them. That is something they've learned. So you know
Yeah.
that's a new skill that they've developed, and as you grow older, you can there's so many things you can do. I feel kids, anywhere, be it for medicine, be it for accounting, be it for finance, be it for engineering, should definitely learn should definitely take up a few computer science courses.
Mm-hmm.
Learn computer languaging, learn different types of online softwares, because who knows, another 3 years we may still be doing stuff online. So
Yep.
might as well learn everything that there is.
Yep.
Use online portals. There's so many learning platforms now, so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
I, f-
know if I
I
should
feel
name
that
them
the
or not, but I'm sure
change.
everyone knows about them.
No, no, you can name them. It's not like we're sponsored by them. So if someone
Yeah,
would
okay.
like to
So
sponsor us, then yeah, great.
okay, but okay. So my favorite one that I use very regularly is Khan Academy, and it's a complete academic one. I know,
Uh-huh.
but
But it's
so for
really
example,
well put. It's really well designed.
exactly,
The learning experience
exactly,
is great on it. Yeah.
bilkul. But there is this Harvard has a learning platform that's just really good. Coursera, everyone knows it's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's so many of them. Udemy is there.
Mm-hmm.
Matlab, it's a literally you just have to type. You have to
Yeah.
search on Google and type
Yeah.
online learning platforms for free, and there will be so many of them, and you can pick
Yeah.
up and do courses and good to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And I think that what we need to realize is that I'm actually gonna, like, you know what you said, that what if this is actually here to stay, the digital transformation,
Hmm.
um, the adoption of going digital. But I think that that's like it was there. It's just
Hmm.
escalated. It's accelerated,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
students I think need to students should actually be more open to that idea as compared to the adults. Also, the adults will always be averse to this change. That
agree. But I think exactly, and I said that comes with age, right? But obviously, if
Yeah.
an adult is, it's
Yeah.
different for them to adapt. But I think abhi tak with our population with Pakistan, we still haven't realized that this is here to stay.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't realized that, and I think the day we start realizing, you know what, this is here to stay. I cannot afford to be lazy. I need to set up my workstation at home, get
Hmm.
up at 8 a.m. every morning, and this is the new normal.
And you know what? Actually, Mustafa, someone I know said this. That said that the common man already knows about the technology which exists, right? Um,
Hmm.
we are the ones who are actually a little behind or averse to using them. And his example was
Bilkul.
something as small as Easy Pesa. He's like, the common man
Hmm.
is already sending money to his loved ones in his
Yeah,
village via Easy Pesa. Getting them to
bilkul.
go online is actually going to be far easier than getting someone like you or myself to accept the fact that we got to stay home and stay put, and
Hmm.
use this tech to get the best bang out of our work. You know,
Bilkul. Bilkul.
and this, of course, is
Uh,
a varying extents, but degrees across the board. But I think it's something that we need to accept now.
Bilkul. Agree. Completely agree. And accept, face, and learn,
Uh huh.
and think of it as a new challenge.
100%. 100%. So, Mustafa, this actually gets me to ask you: is that what are some challenges that you foresee in the medical field that students could mentally prepare themselves for? This could also be for those students who are in med school right now and not just thinking of joining.
So I'll tell you something very interesting today. Uh, I what I've been doing is I have been getting my physiotherapy for a while
Mm-hmm.
now, and my physiotherapist. So I was hiring someone who was not from the usual place I go to,
Mm-hmm.
and this was not a government setup or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those high-end setups, and they have everything available. So they would just give me a call and tell me how to go about and how to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I got a message from this person I used to go to at a government setup, and he said that uh, the setup is now equipped to do tele therapy and do physiotherapy online. It's free for everyone. Okay, you could just sign up for a session, and they would call you via Zoom or WhatsApp. They give you all options. It's like WhatsApp your service,
Choose your medium of preference.
so
Yeah.
exactly आपका जो आप जिस पे comfortable हो. They will call you and they will have a complete session online. Now, this is a government setup I'm talking about. ठीक है?
Yeah.
and they said they're going to do a complete session for free online. And I was like, great. I was like, where I've been paying so much money to a private setup.
Yeah.
So, and this is a physiotherapy setup, which is one of the least of concerns of any mainly any hospital right now who is dealing with the situation.
Yeah.
At this point in time, doctors need to be ready. Kids going into medicine need to be ready that they may have a very different life in med school.
Uh-huh.
They may not even start med school as regular students. They may just start online and in another year or so.
Hmm.
But with them, the protocols or what we use in cases, जो हम साल में एक दफा यूज करते थे for very very sick patients, now will be an everyday thing. So
Yep.
medicine will hugely change in the next year or so.
Hmm.
There will be everything. I said, what do you think? जो बच्चे, I know people who want to pick up flight steward as a career. Do
Yep.
you really think that it's going to be that easy? Or do you really think it's going to be the same glamorous life that was there until this hit? No. So students in all fields need to be ready and need to now be very sure of what they're doing. A,
Hmm.
B, need to understand that the demands of each profession will change. Um, Initially, professions like being a chef, uh, you would have a whole team with you, and you would work in a restaurant. Now things are going to be more smaller.
Hmm.
Deliveries and takeaways are going to be your thing now, for at least for the time being. I don't think restaurants are opening anytime. So everything has changed.
Yep.
Everything has changed. There will be a huge shift in the skill sets that are needed. Every student now who's medicine may get. When I was doing medicine, we weren't supposed to be very extensively literate on the computer. But now, any child who is going to study medicine needs to make sure that they have a laptop, needs to make sure they can run that laptop, needs to make sure that they have a good Wi-Fi connection.
Hmm.
Otherwise, they can't even start med school. And that will be true for every person starting any degree.
Hmm.
So our students also need to buck up. They need to, and I think we are the schools which will teach them this to them. We are
100%.
training
Yeah.
them to learn all of this. Exactly, we're
Yeah. Yeah.
training them to, from this day, be ready for the challenge that they're going to face in the few years to come. Hopefully,
Hmm.
everything should go back to normal soon. But if it doesn't, then they need to buck up for this.
Yeah.
Living
Yeah.
with COVID, I would say.
Yeah. And I think just to, like, as to give a practical example of what you just said, I think like I'm going to toot my own horn over here and say is that, well, I studied economics and finance in uni and was set up to for a job in consultancy or investment banking. I ended up continuing with my job at Cedar, which I was basically doing part time while studying, and then got
Hmm.
into communications and digital media. Did a dabble in teaching, and now I have an entire company set up on that, which is reverse from what I had studied
Okay.
formally. And that happened because of all the experiences along that way that allowed me to diversify myself a little bit and think about, okay, well, maybe investment banking or doing a CFA or getting into consultancy is not my cup of tea at this point in time. I'm not saying that I've shut it
Yeah.
out completely, but I'm saying is that, well, I think I set myself up to be agile enough for that. And what you're saying is exactly that. I think that students, all of you need to keep in mind, and this is what your Dr. Mustafa is saying, your vice principal is saying to you, that you need to be agile and you need to be nimble throughout your academic journey, and make sure that you keep
Yeah.
learning. Back in the day, and
Bilkul.
Mustafa, I say this on behalf of you also, we didn't get an interdisciplinary experience in A levels or in university. And now universities are taking that approach more and more seriously, um, just because it ends up making you more well rounded, you know?
Agree.
Yeah.
I'm telling you now, just say, for example, when I started university, I may and medicines, I'll talk about medicine. When I started my degree, the first thing that they did was in the first week, they taught us how to behave and how to improve on our communication skills and, basic 5, 6 courses. And I think next year they're going to be like how to use Zoom.
Yeah.
and वो भी online ही होगा. So वो पहले आपको
Sure, yeah.
tutorial भेजेंगे and then पूरा online करेंगे.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they start teaching if they taught kids how to use, like, how to code and how to leverage
Yeah,
technology better in this
agreed.
whole process. Yeah, and what's actually how to make your med tech platform. Yeah, that'd be cool if they thought that's Ziauddin Aga Khan. Like, there's a gap,
और
there's an
कर रहे
opportunity. Yeah, kar rahe.
अभी भी बच्चे कर रहे हैं बड़े कर रहे हैं like people are actually utilizing and doing it and which
Yeah,
is great.
yeah.
So
So I
yeah,
think this is actually a very good note to end on, Mustafa. I think that what the biggest take home from this conversation I feel is that accept the change and be agile during this change.
बिल्कुल agree
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
Couldn't agree more. And just let's stop pretending that this will go away in a month. Let's
yeah.
start pretending you're going to stay and let's start working towards.
100%, 100%. Mustafa, thank you very much for your time. Uh, It was a great conversation overall, just like the old times. So, everybody, there you have it. Dr. Mustafa Arif, the Vice Principal of Cedar College. This episode was brought to you by Backspace. My name is Asad Hashamali. See you guys in the next episode of In the Times with Cedar College. Till the next one, bye bye.